Hey everyone, what's happening? Neil back once again with another streaming review for you, and today I have the conclusion of this inaugural season of Ahsoka, and it's episode 8, The Jedi, the Witch, and the Warlord. So kind of like the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, the Narnia book title, and it is directed by Rick Famuyiwa, who is awesome, really great director, and written, of course, once again by Mr. Dave Filoni, who has written all 8 of these episodes, because this is his baby. Ahsoka is his baby. The Clone Wars, Rebels, and Ahsoka, the show, and The Mandalorian too, and, pretty much all of Star Wars in terms of television these days is pretty much run by Filoni, or at least written and produced, and sometimes directed by him as well. So, spoilers! Spoiler alert! For all you out there that haven't seen the finale yet, you've been warned. Alright, moving on. This is it, guys, the last episode, and we did get the cliffhanger ending that I predicted. It was a pretty easy prediction, right? I mean, it is Star Wars. They're known for their cliffhangers, especially when you end this first inaugural season and, it's kind of like, okay, well, we ended on a cliffhanger, so we're going to get greenlit for season 2, right? I don't know if that's a safe assumption or not a safe assumption, but I hope they do get a season 2. We did get some fantastic action scenes and a few disappointments here. One disappointment that really couldn't be helped, of course, is that we won't get any more of Ray Stevenson as Baylan Skoll, whose story just kind of feels unfinished by the end of this season. And, it just kind of did the right thing and it did a couple of weird things. So let's get into this. All right, so story-wise, Morgan Elsbeth has been given a powerful sword by the witches, and that this sword can compete with the lightsabers. And Ezra is making his own saber as well from parts left behind by his old master, Kanan Jarrus. Then Ahsoka, Sabine, and Ezra are forced to go after Thrawn on Wolfback after their ship is crippled by a couple of TIE fighters. And they leave Huyang behind. So Huyang, played wonderfully by David Tennant. Don't wait for me, he says. It's a very effective line. All right, now the three of them, they get to Thrawn's door as the Star Destroyer Chimera is raining down destruction upon them, and they somehow survive that unscathed. It's just like, wow, like, how did they get out of that, But, hey, all right. They get in and they fight these night troopers, and after killing them, they wind up being resurrected by the witches. The three escape and fight other guards later on. Ahsoka fights Morgan Elsbeth there, and Sabine and Ezra go off to fight these other guards. And during that fight, we see that Sabine uses the Force to retrieve her lightsaber that's on the ground. She's being choked out or whatever by this bad guy, and she has to pull the lightsaber, and the lightsaber comes to her hand. So she's got the touch, she's got the power, yeah, she's got the Force. And I don't know, was that the first time she ever did that? It may be. So this is potentially a huge moment for Sabine Wren, being Force sensitive and all. Then they get separated. Ezra and Sabine, they get separated as the Star Destroyer is getting ready to go to hyperspace. Ezra is able to jump on board because Sabine is able to force push him on there a little bit. But Sabine decides to stay on the planet to help Ahsoka fight Elsbeth and her troopers and stuff. Morgan destroys one of Ahsoka's lightsabers, but she's then killed. All is going according to Grand Admiral Thrawn's plan as the Eye of Sion thingy. It jumps to hyperspace, with the whole Star Destroyer goes to hyperspace, leaving Ahsoka, Ren, and Huyang stranded in this galaxy called the Peridia Galaxy. Hattie joins these Red Raiders. I guess she's going to lead them. Very brief scene there. Baylan is, I guess he's guided by the Force to a mountain, to this great statue of the Mortis gods, which is this long-beard guy. Kind of looks like a Lord of the Rings kind of statue, the in the first Fellowship of the Ring there, first one. This whole thing with the Mortis gods, it does go back to the Clone Wars, and I'm going to have to look that up again and refresh my memory about that, because I don't really understand kind of where he's going with this yet, where the character is going with it. As Thrawn and the Great Mothers, they do arrive in back in their old galaxy there, on Dathomir. So they're on Dathomir, which is the witch's home planet. That's Darth Maul's home planet. Bridger escapes, and he winds up knocking out a stormtrooper and taking his gear. So he's disguised as a stormtrooper, and he reunites with Hera and the New Republic crew there, and Chopper is there as well. And yeah, they're real happy to see Ezra, but of course they're going to realize, where's the rest, So yeah, they'll deal with that in the next season, I guess. So yeah, Ahsoka, Ren, and Huyang, I mean, they join the Naughty, the little turtle people, and they make their new home on Paradia, and they're being watched over by Anakin's ghost. And we don't really know what that means. I mean, I'm not really certain yet, but we have to wait and see if we get a season 2. Probably will, but who knows. Perhaps it was just to show that Anakin was proud of his apprentice. It's kind of like the end of Return of the Jedi with the 3 ghosts there looking at Luke and just looking over in pride, So I think that was kind of the same kind of idea there. This episode did a lot with its action scenes, and I mean, we knew those troopers weren't going to stay down, right? Thanks to the witch's powers. And we didn't get more of Enoch, the gold-faced stormtrooper guy, which was a tad disappointing. I wanted to know more about him, but I guess they'll save that for next season, if that's going to happen. It's still not as disappointing as Balin's scene ending, but I mean, there's nothing we can do about that. It's the actor's passed away, and then we're not going to get him again. They may recast him for the next season if they do. Somebody suggested Liev Schreiber. Liev Schreiber, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, but he's a really good actor. I think he could probably pull it off, actually, as the new Balin Skoll, unless they come up with some kind of explanation, like, the power was induced in him and then his face changed, I don't know. That might be kind of silly. But all due respect, rest his soul, Ray Stevenson was fantastic in this series, but disappointing that we didn't get more of him and, figuring out kind of more, revealing more of what his plan really is, his real true plan is. I guess I'm a little impatient for that storyline. But Grand Admiral Thrawn, he wins. He won, at the end. He got away, and I think that's a good move, to give him the push that he needs to show those Star Wars fans that may not know Thrawn that well, just really how intelligent he is supposed to be. And Mikkelsen, reprising his role from the Rebels cartoon show, he's excellent as this cold, calculating Imperial, and he and Balin, I think, are the best characters on the show. I'm not really over the moon, or moons, with Sabine having powers. It's like, okay, like, she can be good with a lightsaber. Absolutely, she's Mandalorian, she's great with a lightsaber, but now she's Force-sensitive, she's got these powers, and that makes me think, we might have one too many Force-sensitive good guys here going on, because we've already got Ezra and we've got Ahsoka. Of course, Ahsoka's like the best Jedi or non-official Jedi, out there. So it's like, we don't really need Sabine to be a Jedi. We don't, but this is a storyline that started on Star Wars Rebels, of course. I'm also not a big fan of the naughty turtle people. I just think it's like, man, it's just like such a go-to, the cute little innocent creatures that, I mean, they're technological. They have these little pods that they drive and repair, I guess. But they're just not. Oh man, it's just I don't know. I'm tired of these cutesy characters, I guess. Shin Hati seemed a bit wasted in this episode, but I guess she's going to now lead those Red Raiders, those bandits or whatever they're called, and establish herself on her own destiny, her own path, as Balin said. I mean, any little minor misgivings I have, though, the villains really make up for any of that. I think they're excellent, really great villains, and often a good action adventure fantasy is only as good as its villains. Look at the James Bond movies, things like that, and superhero movies, right? So I'd say the same thing for Star Wars. So yeah, really great villains in this show. Is Ahsoka too powerful, is a question going around the internet, and well, maybe. I mean, she's good at everything, right? But we knew she'd be good at everything. She's really great at taking on multiple enemies because Anakin taught her to do that. The Clone Wars cartoon, so we know that. So we accept that. She just doesn't seem to have really any flaws, though, I mean, she's not that relatable. Her only real flaw seems to be her love for her old master, and her overconsideration for others, perhaps. I don't know. But she hasn't really made any mistakes, and she probably should have something, that does make her more relatable to the audience. Dawson, of course, nails it, though. Rosario Dawson is fantastic. Just excellent casting. And Ezra is a nice Jedi as he was on Rebels, and I like the actor that they cast to play him. He did a good job, you know. So overall, I gotta say this series was good. Not the greatest, you know. Certainly not like Mandalorian season 1 or something like that. We're not gonna compare that, but it was really good, and I highly enjoyed the finale. You know, the episode with Anakin and Ahsoka in the worlds between worlds there, you know, in the Great Void or whatever it is. That was the best one, I thought. You know, I mean, with the flashbacks and everything, and to the Clone Wars, and we see Rex and we see young Ahsoka. I think that was really cool. And of course, Anakin just testing Ahsoka there, and she passed that test. So that was really, really, really interesting and very Star Wars, let's say. So yeah, I mean, sure, Filoni's writing isn't perfect. You know, there's a few things I didn't care for, but certainly good enough for a satisfying continuation of Star Wars Rebels. And I hope it will cause many fans to give that animated series a go on Disney+. So check it out, guys. It's only a few seasons. It doesn't take too long to get through Star Wars Rebels. But for Ahsoka, this episode, anyway, I will give episode 8 an 8.5 out of 10. Alright, guys, that's all for me. That's it for Ahsoka, and I do hope we get a season 2. And until my next review, may the Force be with you all.